Hi, and welcome to the Virgin River Cafe Rewatch podcast. Good morning, Gigi.
Good morning, Tracy. How's it going?
Hey, it's been a week. I
Well,
think I said that last week. I think it's we're gonna continue it.
well, it's a new month, so let's see how it goes.
Yeah, let's just take a few deep breaths and forge ahead. How about that?
That sounds like a plan.
Awesome, awesome. What's your caffeinated beverage today in the
Well,
in the cafe?
so since my birthday is this month, I get a free gift. So my drink of choice has always been I go with my cafe mocha, extra chocolate, extra espresso.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm going for today. That's my drink of choice.
Oh, that sounds really good. Yum.
Yeah, it's good.
And happy birthday month to you.
Thank thank you very much.
I am drinking. We went to Costco and they had like a prepackaged cold brew.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like Big Bear or some, I don't know, some brand. But so I thought I'd give it a try. And I that's just the base, and then I of course have
And
to
you
add
doctor
all
up.
my
Yeah,
funny things, all my
you got
yummies.
to doctor up.
So I added all my yummies. So yeah, so I have that. So I'm having that today. It's like tasty. I mean, when
Sounds
you make it
good.
yourself, I don't know. It's like I don't understand it. It's like this coffee's coffee. It's not. People say coffee's coffee. It's the same. Just drink coffee at home. But no, because when I buy it, it tastes better. I don't know why. It's so frustrating. But I do an okay job. Let's put it that way. I do
Well,
okay.
you're your own barista.
I guess. I make coffee in like 5 different ways. So it just depends on what mood I'm in, and that's what I make.
It's
But
okay. Nothing for that.
so I went with the pre-boxed cold brew today. So
All right.
I'm gonna enjoy that. I'll be having that for a while because Costco doesn't sell single serving, so we'll be drinking that for a while.
That's okay.
All right. Well, if you are ready to
We're
delve
ready.
ahead into more of season 5, all right, let's get started.
So we are in season 5, episode 2 for
Okay.
Songbird.
So this episode says Doc and Cameron try to run the clinic together.
Hmm.
Little that's tentative. They're getting along. I mean, he wants to be there. He doesn't want to be there. Doc wants him there. Doc's not sure about. I don't know. It's tough.
So yes, stop inserting foot into mouth.
Yeah,
That
if
would
he can
help.
keep his foot out of his mouth, I think he'll be just fine. It says Mel supports Ava through a personal dilemma. Jack confronts Charmaine. That's a good one.
Oh boy.
And Brady seeks a second chance. All right, Brady, how many chances does this boy need?
Oh
Too many.
yeah. That's all I gotta say.
Ah,
I gotta breathe heavily.
I know. So, as we start off, when we left our friends in Virgin River, Jack had knocked on Charmaine's door. Remember, he was supposed to watch some Knicks game with Preacher and Mike and bring pizza and beer. And he, I guess, thought a lot about what Mel said about dealing
Mm.
with Charmaine, that it's just going to hang over you if you don't deal with it. And he
Yep.
decided to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my. I mean,
Oh,
the guy needs answers. You don't lie to him for 5 months and then drop a bomb on him. I mean, that's just
yeah, he needs closure and he needs to
he
understand
needs
why.
to
Why,
understand, yeah, why she
you
did
know.
this. So we've got Jack and Charmaine sitting in her kitchen, and she's sitting there and he's pacing. Pacing. The man just does not probably doesn't even know where to begin. And he's like,
Nope.
and he just keeps pacing, and she's like, "Are you gonna say anything, like, or just keep like pacing?" And he kind of looks at her with his hands in his pockets. He goes, "How could you be so selfish?" Now, she could have gone a lot of ways with this, and I totally disagreed with her approach
Mm-hmm.
because knowing what she did, and maybe she doesn't think it was such a big deal, and I think that's why she's like this with him, because in her mind it's like, well, you're off the hook, it's fine, it's good, like, you're good. But forgetting that he was ready to be a dad, like, he wasn't happy in the beginning, he was scared to death, man was practically having a heart attack. but he grew into the idea. He accepted this. He was all in. I mean, and I think from like the baby shower forward, they had kind of found a rhythm and things
Yep.
were working, and he was like, okay, this is my reality and we're going to make the best of it, and we're just going to co-parent and it's going to be fine. I've got Mel, she's having a baby, and Charmaine, and we're going to be parents, and we're just going to work it out. You know, I mean, he spent 5 months or 4 months at least figuring this out with her. And then she just pulls the rug out from under him. And her approach is, she's like, all I can do, Jack, is apologize over and over. And the way she says it is kind of snippy. And he's, of course, I agree with him. And he's like, well, that's not good enough. You know, and she agrees with that. She's like, I know. So go ahead, yell at me and tell me I'm a terrible person. And it's like, you're just getting snooty about it now. I mean, that's just the way she approached it was so, God, it was so wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a terrible person. I get that. You're an awful person. And he's like, that's not why I'm here. She almost looks like, well, then why are you here? Like, she's perplexed. Like, it's just, she's just not thinking.
She's not getting it. Basically.
No.
She's not getting it.
No. And then, so, because it's Jack, he's going to try to break it down for her. It's like, he's got to unpack this one piece by piece for her because she's not getting it. He's like, I'm just trying to understand after everything I did for you. I mean, and he's like, it's painful for him. He goes, and Mel too. Like, Mel did a ton of stuff. He goes, and you drag her into this, and she's like, I don't get you, Jack. I thought you'd be relieved. This is where she's like, you and Mel don't have to deal with me anymore. It's like, that's,
you see that's the coward way out, and that's bullshit.
It really is. No, it really is. I agree.
That's a bullshit reason, because she does not want to face what she's done. She just wants him to yell at her and be done with it. And it's not that simple for Jack.
Well, and plus it's like she's acting like, I don't know, that they were sharing a puppy and she decided to take it back. Like, this is a human child. 2 children. Yeah. She's like, I thought you'd be relieved. And he says that he's like, I'm not relieved. And she actually, which boggles my mind, she's surprised that he's not relieved. It's like, do you not understand? He's like, nope, and then he breaks it down for her. And he's like, I thought I was going to be the father to twin boys, and you made me believe that, and you made everybody believe that. For months, I break my back for you, making sure you had everything that you could possibly need. And she's just looking at him like, And he goes, I would have done anything for these boys. And he's like practically crying. He goes, and you just took it away. And he's like, you humiliated me. And it's like she finally gets it because her indignation, that look on her face, it's gone. And it's like the reality finally comes. It's like, because the whole time up until this moment, all she was doing was thinking about herself. In the beginning, she was pissed at Jack and doing everything she could to like get him involved and doing stuff against Mel and the whole bit, just playing every game she could. But not until right now did she realize what impact she had and how she's really affected him. I mean, seeing him in tears, he's like, and you broke my heart. But then, even though you see that in her face, it's like she still can't bend. She goes, well, now you know how it feels. It's like, really?
And that teenager move.
Yeah,
that's not
very immature.
That's a very teenager move, you know. And as you like to say, I'll pick up my toys, like kids going to the park. I'll
pick up my toys and go home. Exactly.
And that's exactly the bullshit she's pulling there.
But when she said, now you know how it feels, it's like, I mean, you've already stabbed him in the heart. It's like, just stab him again. Like, that's what it feels like. Like I did all this and I so don't care about you, you know, because you feel like, okay, maybe now she's getting it. But then she says that and you're like, okay, maybe she's not getting it. And he's like, don't you dare put this on me. And she's like, Jack, you don't understand the way things ended between us. It's like that.
So what?
It's two totally different situations.
Exactly.
She's like, watching you pull away and fall in love with Mel right under my nose. Now, granted, he was very ambiguous. She says, it was torture. Okay, it was ambiguous what kind of relationship they had. Clearly, she thought there was more there. For him, it was very casual, loosey-goosey. We hook up when we hook up. It's not a big deal. He wasn't in a relationship, but she was.
And you and I had this conversation way back.
Oh, yeah, in the beginning.
Season 1, when I said, the thing about this is, he told her, and they both agreed on how they wanted this relationship to be. This is what pisses me off about some women. A man tells you what he wants, and you think you're going to change his mind the longer you stick around. No.
Yeah.
My uncle always said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah. Believe them. Exactly.
So the deal is...
He said it the whole time for 2 years. He said the same thing. It never changed.
It never changed.
Just because you want something doesn't make it true.
Exactly. And this is why that bullshit line that she's pulling there is what pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because this is not a two-sided relationship, because you went into this with your eyes open. You knew where he stood. You knew that you were someone that he can hang out with, and you were a sleeping buddy, but he wasn't bringing you home to see his mama. Okay, so
they weren't an item. They weren't. I mean, maybe they went out a few times, but it's not like Christmas dinners together and all that. None of that. There was none of that relationship stuff. It was hooking up every now and again. Yeah. But so she clearly wanted more, or thought there was more, or thought his feelings had changed. And at the mingle, it became very clear.
Oh, it became very clear at the mingle. But the point about it was, the minute she started to feel something, quote unquote, she should have brought it up to him and see if he felt the same way. And if he didn't,
that's a conversation that needed a conversation.
Exactly. And that's a conversation that didn't happen. And what happened was, when he finally did fall in love with somebody, then she is all jealous about it.
Yep.
Then she starts the vindictive bullshit.
Yep.
I think, to be quite honest with you, I think that's when she decided, well, this is my way to get Jack back and away from Mel. And I think she used that baby as a way to do it.
Oh, absolutely. We suspect when she got pregnant because of how pregnant she is. And I think I'm pretty sure we talked about it. We feel like it was sometime right after the mingle. That's the timing of everything. And once she found out she was pregnant, she must have said, it's close enough.
Yeah.
And I can get him back. And, he's such a good man that he will stand by me. He's a stand-up guy, so he's going to be there.
Yep.
And she had him. She had him. I'm actually surprised. I mean, knowing that this is the outcome, I almost thought she would hold out until I thought the news would come out in a different way. Like, I didn't think she would blurt it out while she was still. I thought it would happen further down the road. I always hoped that somehow or another that those babies were not his. But figuring out how they were going to do that, I'm like, God, they just, before they're born, just please before they're born.
Yeah.
And I think is interesting that when his parents found out that Charmaine was pregnant and they wanted to rush in and have a baby shower, and he was like, why don't we wait? Why don't we do it after they're born? Because then his family's not involved yet. And I don't know if maybe deep down he was hoping they weren't his, or it was just, I can't deal with this right now. But it was just good timing that his family wasn't completely involved with everything before they were born, and then having to deal with them finding out in this way.
Yeah.
At least it's like, she's pregnant. I'm having a kid. Oh, by the way, they're not mine. It's like, they're not right there in the middle of everything. Like, the town is all involved with it, because now she's got to deal with the town. And she's not everyone's favorite person.
Tell me about it.
So,
And wait, and the thing about it is, enemy number one is who?
mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Because because that is her baby boy as far as she's
Yeah. When
concerned.
Hope hears this, ooh. Oh my. So she's telling him that this was torture. And he's just looking at her like, no. She's like, and then I found out I was pregnant and I was afraid. This is where it all comes out. At least she's telling him. She goes, and I was alone. And she's like, and the worst part about it was the thought that I was going to lose you forever. She never had him. She's like, so I lied. And he's like, what do you expect me to say? She's like, I don't know, Jack. She's like, I just hope you can forgive me. And he's like, have you even told the real father? She goes, oh, no. And that was a one-time thing. She's like, he's not cut out to be a father. And he's like, how do you know that? And she goes, because I just know. So now it's like, okay, who did she hook up with? She's like, I lied to give the twins a future. And his wheels are spinning like, who in the hell? He knows everybody. Who could it be? Like, I'm thinking of all the men that are her age. Because I doubt she'd be with some super young guy. And I mean, we know who all the old guys are. It wouldn't be any of them. There's not a lot of candidates. There's always been speculation. But,
oh, yeah.
The speculation was, could it be Cameron? Could it be Brady? Could it be, it's like, really? Really? No. Yeah, so she lied to give the twins a future. And I get it. I get where she was coming from. Doesn't make it right.
Nope.
I mean, she's trying to justify her actions, but no.
She's trying to justify it all kinds of ways.
She's looking for someone to provide for them. And he's just looking at her like, she goes, isn't there a small part of you that can sympathize with that?
Oh, hell no, girlfriend. Hell no.
And he's like, yeah, you got my sympathy. He's like, but not my forgiveness. And he turns around and he walks out. Leaves her sitting there in her own thoughts. Packing up her house because she's got a lot of boxes. Because clearly things are not going well with her and Todd. We will not see him again. We haven't seen him in a while. I think even before the shower was the last time it's been a while. And whatever was going on, I mean, I don't know if she'll get divorced or annulled or who even knows, but yeah, that was, I think she met, engaged, married, and divorced in like a month and a half.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And the sad thing is, it's like you want her with somebody so that she just leaves Jack alone. I thought it was crappy that he was, he wasn't a good guy. Looked like he was already cheating and doing weird things. And
he's an obnoxious idiot. So
yeah, so good riddance. Now we're at Bree's house. Now remember, Bree found a rental property. And she's at a rental property. And Brady's motorcycle is there. So that means he's checking out her new place. She goes, this is exactly why I moved, so that coward couldn't try to intimidate me out of testifying. So she's talking about Dawn, and she thought that maybe if she left the bar and got her own place, that maybe he wouldn't bother her. And what happened? Somebody threw a rock through a window, and she's figuring it's got to be Dawn. Like, that's her first thought.
Yeah.
Because she won't sign the papers, so that must be the reason. And Brady is like, well, I don't think we should assume it was Dawn. And I know she's thinking, wait a second, how many people are like, don't like me that want to throw rocks through my window? Like, I'm a nice person. What's going on?
Right.
And she's like, really? And he's like, well, maybe some drunk teenager screwing around or something. And she's like, do you know how many violent criminals I have prosecuted in my career? And she's like, I know a threat when I see one. And he's like, well, how can you be sure? And they kind of look, they're laying in bed and they're just looking at each other. She goes, because it felt like one, Brady. And he's like, yeah? Okay. So they're just laying in her bed and, just talking. And he's like, I hear you. And then he's like, come here. And he gives her a big hug because she's kind of freaking out. And so they get all snuggly together.
Well, I'd freak out too.
He goes, I won't let anything happen to you. Yeah, I mean, I would freak out. Absolutely. So they're just snuggling together. he's consoling her, and he's like, try and get some sleep. Not like she can sleep after all that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's thinking, okay, this didn't have anything to do with
Oh,
Don.
yeah.
I know what
Yeah.
this is about. He's a little worried.
Melissa person is
Yeah.
not somebody to mess with.
Nope. So, oh, this is an adorable scene. I love this scene. It's so cute. So Mel's running, and she's running along the river. Beautiful scenery. And there's a song by Fleetwood Mac called Songbird. And she stops while that song is playing and is just admiring the backdrop and the mountains and the river and the sky, and it's beautiful. It's the scenery. Again, we say it all the time, but
Yes,
the
we do.
scenery is a character.
It is.
And we go to a flashback. So she's remembering, and it's the song Songbird that's brought her back, and it shows Mel climbing upstairs into the attic, and Joey is already there, and they're looking through records and things, and Joey pulls out an album, because that's what they had back then, and it's Fleetwood Mac, and she's looking at it and looking at pictures of the parents and the mom and the mom with the kids, and she's like, what are you doing up here? And Mel's just sitting there just like thinking about her mom, and she gets a phone call on her Apple Watch, and it's Grace Valley Hospital, and she answers it, and she's like, hi, Dr. Kane. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're a lifesaver, thank you so much for getting Ava in. So if you remember, Mel was having she was sitting down with some sewing stuff, and Ava came over and sat with her at Jack's bar, and she had a glass of wine, and then she had some pain and she dropped her glass of wine.
Yep.
And Mel must have acted right away and taken care of it, and so it looks like that she was able to get her in to see a doctor quickly to find out what's going on. So Mel heads back home after her run, and Jack is there. Looks like he's Mr. in the kitchen, and she's like, good morning. And he's like, morning, how was your run? He looks like he's cutting up some stuff, and she's like, oh, it was good. Slow. And he goes, go easy on yourself. You're carrying precious cargo. And he points at her tummy, and he gives her a kiss. And it's cute because the outfit that she's wearing, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, in the earlier days, they posted a lot more during filming. Now they kind of locked down on that. But they did have her wear a couple of like pregnancy bumps, like a very, very, very small one.
Yeah, you can tell she has a little pregnancy.
She has and now remember, if it's your first pregnancy, you generally don't show for a really long time. She's been pregnant once full term and several miscarriages. So once you've been pregnant, your body kind of goes, yeah, I remember that. And you show your pregnancies much earlier as as things happen. So her little baby bump is sort of a little bit visible, which is very cute. And he points to the baby, and he's like, go easy on yourself. You're carrying precious cargo. Gives her a little kiss. And she's like, oh no, it wasn't the baby. She's like, oh, it was just so beautiful out there. I kept getting distracted. She's like, I watched the sunrise, Jack, like the entire thing. And she's like, I mean, I haven't lost track of time like that in forever. And he goes, well, that's good. I mean, that's what this break is supposed to be about, right? Now, she's left the clinic because she is so nervous that something's going to happen to her pregnancy that she's literally on not bed rest at all, but not the stress of work. And it's like the gift she's giving herself to hope that this pregnancy does okay. I mean, she's taking care of herself, and he's making sure she's doing everything she needs to do. They're doing the best they can to take care of this pregnancy. And so part of that is not working and running and enjoying the outdoors and relaxing. He's there making breakfast for her, which is really cute.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, taking it slow. She's like, yeah, I know. And she goes, wow, an omelet and a latte? Okay, what's going on here? He's like, nothing. She goes, nothing. I just want to say thank you for supporting me through this mess with Charmaine. And he has her sit down. He goes, you were asleep when I came in last night, but I didn't quite make it to Preachers. So he explains why he was home a little late. And she's like, oh, really? And he goes, actually, as he's getting some fruit out of the refrigerator, he goes, I went to talk to Charmaine. She's like, oh, wow, okay. Uh, how did that go? And he's like, you were right. It was good. And she's like, yeah. He goes, yeah. I mean, it wasn't good, but I mean, glad we talked, you know. It was good that they talked. And she's like, so what did she say? And it's like, she wanted me to forgive her. And Mel's like, did you? And he's like, no, I couldn't, but I woke up this morning and I felt better, so thank you. She's like, good. And she's been just munching on raspberries and blueberries, and he's got an omelet. It looked like he gave her some oatmeal. I mean, I don't think she's going to eat all that food, but he's got a nice variety there. And so he asks her, he's like, anyway, how is Tara's sister? Remember Ava? And Mel's like, oh, yeah. He goes, the text last night sounded pretty serious. And she goes, oh, no, she's okay. I got her in with a specialist at Grace Valley. And so she's like, I'm going to drive her there in a bit. And he's like, oh, right. He goes, well, you can take the girl out of the clinic, but you can't take the clinic out of the girl. Because even though she's not a nurse anymore, she's still a nurse. Like, she'll always be a nurse. She goes, no, it's just a ride. Then I'll be back and master the art of sewing, which she's having a rough time as she's eating raspberries. And he's like, okay. He goes, well, look, Bree called and while you were out, and her and I are going to go on a hike at Angel's Peak today. And she's like, that sounds good. And he goes, she said she wanted to talk to me about something. Now, Mel knows that Bree has not told Jack about Dawn raping her. So she had said, you'll tell him when you're ready. And by him saying, Bree wants to talk to me, Mel knows she's ready. She's at the point where she's feeling better about things, that she can, work through it and be able to tell her brother. So, of course, Mel's going to be very supportive as she's drinking her orange juice. She goes, well, I'm glad you guys are hanging out more. Yeah, I'm glad that you don't have to rush off to work. He's like, because that means we might have a bit of time for, and he's giving her the eyebrows. And then she puts her juice down and she's like, oh, okay, now I see what this breakfast is all about. And he's like, no, but if it helps. And she's like, okay, yeah, I get it. It's really cute. She goes, let me look at my busy schedule. And she stands up. She's like, I got nothing. And he goes, that's good to hear. He's like, And so she straddles him and sits on his lap and gives him a kiss. And the way she wraps her arms around him, you can see her engagement ring. They're so adorable. That was a really cute scene. Everyone always says how much that's a really cute scene. Because the chemistry with the two of them is really good.
Yeah, it's very good.
So we're back at Hope's house, and we've got Denny and Lizzie. And they're trying to figure out what to do for a date. And so Lizzie's like, okay, to recap, you said no movie, no concert, and no museum. And he's like, she's like, and you're not getting weird at me again. He goes, no, but we only get one first date. She goes, well, I was under the impression we've been on many dates. He goes, well, think of it as a second first date then, our official one, as they almost give a little kiss. So then Hope and Doc walk in and it's like, good morning, Lizzie and Denny. It's like, good morning. Everyone's having breakfast today. Doc's like, I have to go. And Doc's like, Hope, I need you to promise me something, as he hands her her pill case. Take your meds. And she's like, yep. He goes, and lay low and be nice to Lizzie. He goes, well, I'll give you 2 out of 3. He goes, that'll do. And he gives her a kiss. And off he goes. So they're asking how she's feeling today. And she goes, I still can't believe it. After all these years, those turncoats are planning to replace me as mayor. And Lizzie's like, she's being dramatic. The council hasn't made a decision yet. She goes, that's balderdash, and you know it. So she's getting a little nervous. And she's like, while I'd sooner eat glass than see the town council members ever again, she goes, I have to give the welcome speech at the community garden opening this afternoon. And Lizzie comes up with an idea. She's like, why don't you just go and tell the council to shove it? And Hope's like, yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? she's like, wait. And like, Lizzie, she goes, no, I was kidding. It's perfect. She's like, I'm going to use the speech to convince the town council that I'm still up for being mayor and you're going to help me write it. She goes, Hope, I am not your speech writer. I'm your home health aide. She goes, would you rather go upstairs and give me a sponge bath? And Lizzie's like, looks at her like, she goes, yeah, that's what I thought. Grab a pen. Lizzie looks at Denny and she shakes her head like, oh, Lord, what have I gotten myself into? And Denny's like, have fun. See you later.
Oh my God.
Right? Like Hope thought that Lizzie was just going to like roll over and do whatever she wanted. And she's finding out. Lizzie will get out of doing everything, but she will do a good job.
I swear to God.
funny.
They gorgeous of each other.
Oh my gosh. So we're back in the kitchen at the bar, at Jack's bar. And Jack's coming in and he's looking at Preacher who's looking through this. It looks like an old cookbook. And he goes, whoa, is that the Middleton family cookbook? And Preacher's like, oh yeah, the one and only. And Jack's like, I haven't seen that in years. He goes, yeah, I'm thinking about changing the menu a bit, shake things up. And he's like, are you missing Paige? And he's like, yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, I think I'm done with dating for a while. He goes, it's too much work. He goes, I'm going to focus on me. And Jack's like, I'm all for that. He goes, besides, falling in love should be fun, man. Don't stress about finding the one. He goes, just get out there, have fun, make mistakes, get laid. And then just as he's saying that, Bree walks in and she goes, who's getting laid? And Preacher's like, oh, definitely not me. I mean, timing is everything. God. They're so funny. It's like a bunch of guys talking and then she just walks in on the conversation. And Jack's like, Preacher's taking a break from women. And she's like, what? Dude, are you kidding me? She goes, you're like the total package. You're smart, dependable, an incredible cook. He goes, I mean, check out those arms. You're like a Greek god. And she's just smiling. And she's making like a funny face. I mean, she's hilarious. I just love Bree. She's hilarious. And Jack's like, hey, okay. You don't need to embarrass my friend. And Bree's like, you're going to be the best thing that ever happened to somebody when you're ready. And the guys are just looking at each other. And so she's like, anyway, she says to Jack, are you ready to get your butt kicked up on the trail? Because the two of them, remember, they're going hiking. And they're like, okay, well, we'll see you around lunch. And he's like, all right, have fun, as he's looking through his cookbook. And Jack's like, hey, trust me, you never know when the love of your life is going to walk right into this bar. He goes, hey, Romeo, let's go. Bye, Preach. And Jack's like, I know things. So we are at Grace Valley Hospital, and Mel is waiting for Ava at the doctor's appointment because of whatever was going on with her. And Mel's just sitting there, and there's a woman seated a chair over from her that's very pregnant. Someone had to come and help her get up. And I mean, she's pregnant too, even though it's sort of hush-hush. I mean, Ava knows, some people know. But now she's pregnant too. So her whole outlook is very different when she sees a pregnant woman. Not like it was before. So she's just sitting there, and Ava walks in, and she's like, ready to roll? And Mel is just not even paying attention to her. And then she looks at Mel, and she's like, Bueller? Because if you remember from the movie, anyone that saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you'll understand what that means. And Mel kind of gets shaken out of her dazed thoughts. And she looks up at her, and she goes, hey, sorry. And she's like, so how did it go with Dr. Kane? And Ava's like, well, you know how doctors are. Blah. And she makes a sound and a face. And Mel's like, oh, okay. Well, she's like, do you need to schedule a follow-up? She goes, no, let's just get out of here. Hospitals give me the creeps. And there happens to be a doctor standing right next to her when she says that. And he looks over, gives her the stink eye. Like, really? And Mel's like, well, it is a really long drive, back to town. What do you think? Like, you want to grab some lunch? And she's like, sure. So they decide to go get lunch together, hang out. Now we're back at the clinic, and Doc is looking things up on his computer, writing some notes, and Cameron walks in.
Uh,
And Cameron's like,
okay. I have the same reaction to Cameron that I have for when I see Charmaine.
yeah.
I have a guttural reaction.
No,
to
I get
both of
it. I totally get it. I feel like later Cameron definitely grows on me. I think
them.
in the beginning he took too many liberties. He was just not reading. He didn't know how to read a room. Like it was awkward. He kept saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, but I think once he found his footing, I actually liked him. But yeah, these early days, no.
Nah, it never washed with me,
No.
unfortunately. He never won me over.
I mean, not a favorite, but I did like his character as time went on. It grew on me.
Yeah, that never happened.
I know. That's okay. That's all right. So he knocks on Doc's door and he's like, you wanted to see me? And Doc is like, yeah, I noticed these insurance claims have yet to be filed. And Cameron's like, yeah, Mel used to do that. And Doc closes his laptop, takes off his glasses, and he looks a little pissed. And he sits back in his chair with his hands folded. And he's like, did I not mention the other day that I wanted these claims handled? And Cameron kind of looks at him and goes, oh, yeah, you meant by me. And he goes, yeah, that's right, Cameron, you. He goes, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I actually don't know how to use the online system. And Doc's like, oh, and why is that? He goes, because Mel set it up. And he goes, in the future, when I say I want the claims handled, I want them handled quickly and expediently. And he's like, right. Like I said the other day, I'm not a medical biller. And he's like, I ran this clinic myself for 30 years. And when I didn't know how to do something, I figured it out. He goes, so if you're not going to help, I kindly suggest you get out of the way. He's pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is not happy. And just as he's finishing that sentence, Miriam shows up. Just a ray of sunshine.
Yeah, one of my favorite people.
And she walks in and she feels like she's interrupting something.
And she is.
She knocked and walked. And she goes, am I interrupting? And they're like, no, not at all. She goes, oh, yes, I'm just here to follow up with Dr. Hayek. He goes, oh, yes, right this way, Muriel. And so he kind of glances at Doc and kind of walks out like, oh, I got crap to deal with. So now we are following Brady as he's riding his motorcycle on the open road, checking out the scenery, riding down the road. And he shows up. It looks like a trailer, maybe where an office is. And we see Melissa Montgomery and a bunch of her guys.
He is not happy.
Oh, he is pissed. He is like, he was driving fast. He was driving like his ass was on fire. And he gets off his bike and he's yelling at them, pointing, and he's like, you could have hurt her. And the one guy walks up to him and kind of pushes him back. And he's like, hey, quiet, pal. And Brady says to this guy, who the hell are you? It's like one of Melissa's new henchmen. And he goes, the guy standing between you and something you'll regret. And Melissa is like, this is Jean Sackham, a friend of mine. And she's always so sinister. Everything out of her mouth has like a sinister vibe to it. And she's like, Jean, Daniel Brady, the one I was telling you about. And he's like, you went back on your word. You said you'd leave her alone. And she's like, let me remind you of our agreement. He goes, yeah, I play company man. You stay the hell away from Bree. And he goes, yes, I said that and I intend to honor it. He goes, by throwing a goddamn rock through her door. And she's like, this is becoming a pattern with you, Brady. He goes, what is? She's like, disrespect. Is the chain of command unclear? She's very smug. And he looks at the guy and he's like, no. She's like, good, because I need you to stay late and supervise another shipment. She goes, make sure Jeb is up to speed when it comes in. And then she's talking to the guys behind her. He gets pissed. He just turns around and leaves. And the guy goes, yo, Brady. He goes, if we wanted to hurt her, we would have. He puts his sunglasses on. He gets on his bike.
You see, what they don't understand is Brady is like a ticking bomb.
Yes.
This is you never underestimate a ticking bomb. Because you never know when he's gonna lose his shit. Because he has no as one mother once told me, I got no problem going to jail if I kick your ass.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Don't
Absolutely.
I do not think he got, if you mess with this man's woman, I don't think he's going to have a problem dealing with you and going to jail for it.
He has been in
No,
trouble so many times, he doesn't care. He's just going to handle
man,
it.
it's been in juvie court, adult court. He's been in and out of jail. How many times you can shake it? Oh, please.
Yeah. So
So
he's not worried.
no, no. But I think they are underestimating
Yeah.
Brady.
I think everyone always has.
Yes, I think that is their biggest mistake. And then it's going to come back and bite them and you know where.
Yep, probably so. So now we've got Bree and Jack, and they're on their hike, and she's like, you know what? I just can't wrap my head around. And he's like, what? And he goes, that Charmaine went to such lengths to trap you in her web of lies. And she's like, you're not even that good of a catch. They both laugh. And he's like, come on. He goes, well, I think there's a few women in town that would disagree with you, which I think is true because all the ladies love him. And Bree's like, your stinky feet alone would drive most of them away.
Yep.
And she's like, honestly, I don't know how Mel puts up with it. And Jack's like, sure you do. It runs in the family. And she goes, oh, as if. So they're just goofing around with each other. He goes, hey, don't dish it out if you can't take it. So they stop in this like one section where it's a nice clearing. So she's like, sorry, too soon. Because, they're joking, but it just happened. No, it's a little delicate still. So she grabs her water bottle and he's like, look, you and Mel, you'll have like 1,000,000 babies. He goes, yeah, how about we start with just one and go from there? He's like, I just got to say. He's like, okay, here we go. She's like, no, I'm serious. He goes, you're someone who goes the extra mile for people that you care about, even when it's hard. That's how I know that things are going to work out. He goes, oh, you're getting sentimental on me. He goes, the thing that I wanted to talk to you about. She's like, I told Mel, I asked her not to say anything to you. He goes, what's going on? She's like, you remember that guy that I was seeing before I came here? Don? And he's looking very serious. But she explains everything to him. So now we're at this little cafe, probably near Grace Hospital, Grace Valley Hospital, where Mel and Ava are having some lunch. And Ava's like, this place has been here forever. We used to come here for special occasions like birthdays and graduations. And Mel's like, oh, that's so sweet. She goes, I actually came out to my mom here and she was super supportive. And she's like, Dad too. And she goes, honestly, the whole town was. And Mel's like, yeah. She goes, well, Virgin River definitely has its quirks, but the people couldn't be nicer. And they cheers. They're like, cheers to that. Mm-hmm. And Mel's like, listen, I know we're just kind of getting to know each other. She goes, but when you came out of Dr. Kane's office today, you seemed a little, and Ava's like, off? She goes, like you just had a lot on your mind. She goes, oh, I thought I covered it up pretty well. And she's like, well, nurse's intuition. And so Ava's like, yeah, well, a few years ago, I had laparoscopic surgery for endometriosis. She goes, I always knew there was a chance that it could recur, but it's back. She goes, that's it. And Mel's like, I'm so sorry. She goes, so the pain you had last night, it was... She goes, so the pain that you had last night, it was endometrius? She goes, yeah, luckily it didn't rupture, but the tissue's definitely spreading again. And Mel's like, oh my gosh. She goes, and Ava's like, yay for me. She goes, so what's your plan treatment-wise? She's like, I could always get another procedure, try to remove the tissue, but I lived with the pain for so long. She goes, Dr. Kane thinks I should consider a hysterectomy. And Mel's like, wow. She's like, how do you feel about that? She's like, I don't know. And she's like, maybe I'll just do that. She goes, well, I think that's a really big decision and you should think about it. I mean, are you planning to have kids someday? And she goes, you know what? Why don't we just talk about something else? Perfect, right? And Mel, she's like, or we could just, get the check. And Mel's like, yeah. Oh, my. And again, this is a show that, how many shows do you know of that talk about endometriosis?
Not a lot.
Very few. I don't think I've ever heard it on a show. And if I have, it was once in a blue moon. It's very, very rare. Women's health is never really discussed. So I'm really
Yeah.
glad that this show, they literally cover everything. So we're back at Hope's house, and Lizzie is trying to help Hope write a speech that's going to help persuade the town council to maybe not get rid of her as mayor. So she's reading it over, and she's like, which is why if you don't reconsider this ludicrous power grab, oh my God, it's not starting off well, the legitimacy of the office will forever be tainted, thank you. And Hope's like, what do you think? And Lizzie's like, it's really more of a rant than a speech. And Hope's like, well, I think it's perfect. Wouldn't change a word. Because, she's very set in her ways. And she's like, the ending could use some work at the very least. And then Denny walks in. He goes, I don't recall asking the peanut gallery, but go on. And Denny's like, okay, a great speech lays out a detailed action-oriented plan, and the conclusion reminds everyone what you plan to do. And Lizzie's like, I disagree. Think about the best movie speeches of all time. Notting Hill, Bridget Jones, The Notebook, they're all like super emotional. And Denny's like, are those your favorite movies? And she's like, don't pretend you don't love them. He goes, okay, you two, back to business. So Denny's like, I don't mean to brag, but I know a thing or two about speech writing. And they're like, oh, do you? He goes, yeah, I ran for class president senior year of high school. She goes, you were class president? He goes, no, I didn't win, but it didn't have anything to do with my speech. He goes, the other guy gave out blow pops. Oh my God, really? And Hope's like, blow pops? Do we need to get blow pops? And Lizzie's like, that's the worst idea. And Lizzie's like, don't listen to Denny. He lost an election to the Lollipop Guild. Oh my gosh. He goes,
Oh, God.
And he's like, oh, and remind me, did you run for class president? And Hope looks like she's getting a headache. Lizzie's like, irrelevant. And he's like, seems pretty relevant to me. I think Hope is like done with this conversation. She's like, wants to leave the room. And they're like, where are you going? She's like, headache. He goes, wait, I'll get you medicine. And she follows Hope out to go find some medicine. Okay, so now we're back at Doc's office. It looks like a full room. And if we notice, do you see the lady to the right is June. That is the mail lady. The two of them are gossiping, which is not very nice, but that's what they're doing because in the back, you can see sort of in the background, we've got Charmaine sitting there. And June's like, did you see who walked in? And the lady's like, who? And then June kind of nudges toward Charmaine, and then she becomes in focus, and there she sits. And she's just looking at him, and the woman like double trouble because she's pregnant with twins. She's just feeling really bad. Doc walks in.
No sympathy here. Sorry.
Well, Doc walks in, and he sort of catches him being gossipy. And, he throws Charmaine a lifeline. And he's like, Charmaine, why don't you wait in my office till the exam room's open? So at the same time, we have Cameron is finished up with Muriel, and the two of them are walking out of the office, and Doc is standing there, and he's like, Dr. Mullins, Cameron, as he walks Charmaine through. Oh, my. So Muriel stops Cameron on her way out, and she's like, oh, yeah, I meant to ask. She's so flirty. How are you and Doc doing without Mel? And he's like, fine. And she laughs. He's like, that bad, huh? And he goes, well, we're working out the kinks. He goes, well, Doc can be, he's like a pain in the neck. And she goes, mercurial, but yeah, he could be that. And they just kind of chuckled together. And she's like, I know you're not asking for any advice. He goes, no, I'm begging. She's like, look, Doc can handle a little backbone. He's married to Hope, for crying out loud. So if you have a problem with him, stand your ground and he'll respect that. He's like, okay, thanks for the tip. He goes, I'll give it a shot. He goes, but first I need to figure out how to file those insurance papers. She goes, oh. He goes, he said, figure it out or get out of the way. And she comes up with an idea. She's like, why don't I file those claims for you? And he looks at her like, huh? She's like, I used to be a dental biller in between acting gigs when I was living in New York. He goes, you were an actress? And they both chuckle. She goes, well, as Angela Lansbury says, once an actress, always an actress.
Oh, Lord.
So Doc took Charmaine into the exam room, and she has the stethoscope, and she's listening to the heartbeat of the babies. And she's like, they're so fast. So they're both kind of chuckling. I mean, I think Doc I've always said Doc has a special place in his heart for Charmaine because he had the affair with her mother, and she really got the crappy end of the deal when all that happened. It was pretty bad. It was a bad situation. So I think he and with her mom not around anymore, he in a way, on the side, very low key, kind of keeps an eye out for her. Because knowing she doesn't have anybody. She's by herself, and now she's got these babies coming, and yeah, she did a horrible thing with Jack and Mel and everything, but she's still going to be a single mom, and I think he still has sort of like a soft place in his heart for her, even if Hope doesn't like it. And we know Hope isn't thrilled. So he's like, they're doing great, and you can talk to Dr. Singer about pregnancy-safe medication. If you need anything else, you can let me know. She's like, thanks, Doc. And he goes, if you can help it, don't worry about the gossip mill. I mean, seriously, it's a Virgin River. Like, I mean, they're going to move on to the next story soon enough. And you're a resilient woman, Charmaine. He goes, so you get that from your mother. She goes, yeah, that's not the only thing I got from my mother. He goes, what? And he goes, well, I feel like my life is just a series of bad choices. Just like Mom. People gossiped about her, too, in bars and restaurants. And, I think the doctor's office is probably a first. He goes, and here I am, all alone and mad at the world, just like her. He goes, is that how you remember her? And he's kind of sweet, and he kind of holds both sides of her arms, and he goes, because I remember a lovely, brave, whip-smart young woman just like you. He goes, Rachel was fiercely independent. All I'm saying is once you let yourself see how wonderful you are, the right person will see it too. She kind of gets very teary and hugs him, and she's like, thanks, Doc. He goes, yeah, never too late to start believing in yourself. She's like, I'll try. And so he's walking her out. So now we've got Jack and Bree sitting on a cliff, looking out into the mountains and the scenery, and she's now told him all about what happened. So now they're just sort of taking it in. Sitting in silence, sitting with their thoughts.
Jack has had a rough week, let me tell you.
Right? He's like, Bree. He's like, he goes, I'm so sorry that happened. He's like, I want you to know, I think you're a superhero. He goes, you're just realizing that now? He goes, I mean it. He goes, and you better believe that I'm going to be right by your side on the day of the trial. And she's like, actually, that's part of what I wanted to talk to you about. And she shakes her head no. She goes, I don't think that's a good idea. He goes, of course I'm going to be there. I want to see the look on that son of a bitch's face when you put him behind bars. She goes, what are you going to do, kick Don's ass? He goes, yeah, then I'll take that rock. He goes, this is what I'm worried about. And she kind of chuckles. She's like, it isn't your fight. She's like, it's going to be hard enough to tell a room full of strangers what happened. She goes, the last thing I need is to worry about your reaction. He goes, you really don't want me to be there? She goes, what I need right now is your support, not your protection. And he shakes his head. He's like, okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Because I just can't stomach the idea of you being there alone. She goes, well, I'm not. Brady's coming. He has been there every step of the way. If you really want to support me, you'll give him another chance. He goes, what did you have in mind? Dinner, my new place, tonight? You, me, Mel, Brady? Oh, cute, he's like. He goes, I don't have silverware yet, but, And you have a restaurant, so I think we'll make do. She's like, it's really important to me. And he's like, yeah, I'll text Mel as soon as we can set it up. He's like, are you sure there's nothing else that I can do? You were a victim of a horrible crime. She goes, I'm not a victim, Jack. I'm a survivor. Follow my lead.
Nicely done, Brady.
Yeah, hang on one second. All right, so we've got some scenery. We're back at Emerald Lumber. Looks like it's Brady and Jeb. They're bosom buddies. Now they're both working together with fentanyl. And Brady's like, there's a whole world of sandwiches out there, Jeb. He goes, you got your ham and cheese pastrami on rye. He goes, yeah, take it up with my wife. He goes, listen, I didn't mean to put you in a bad spot. It's just when I heard about this job and, because he needs money. And then Brady's like, Deb, it's okay. It's fine. He goes, I don't think you really know what's happening here. And he's like, even with this job, I barely got 2 pennies to rub together. He goes, look, I'm no dealer, but I've seen your place. What you drive? He goes, I got Annabelle to think about too. He goes, I got no choice. I have to do this. And he's like, okay. He's like, but look. And he looks around, comes in close. He goes, these guys aren't messing around, okay? He goes, so something comes up, anything comes up, come to me first. And he's like, yeah, got it. No problem. Like, he just think he's going to make some money. Like,
when you got to support your family, you have to figure out a way how to do it.
Exactly. It's tough. So Brady's phone chimes. He picks it up and he goes, is that the boss? Brady's like, no, it's the girlfriend. Oh, now he's calling her his girlfriend. Interesting. He's like, apparently we're going on a double date tonight. And I got to tell her I can't make it. And Jeb laughs. And he's like, really? He goes, are you sure? He goes, you can cover it? And he goes, yeah, until you get back. Heck yeah, no problem. I can take care of it. So they agree. He goes, all right, man, I owe you. He goes, no. You don't owe me anything. He's like, all right. He goes, you watch my back, buddy, and I'll watch yours. I mean, they've been friends for a long time. They say that later, but they've been friends for a long time. Yeah. So it's, they got to look out for each other because with Melissa around, you're going to look out for each other. She's certainly not going to look out for you.
I don't know.
So we're back at the bar, and Mel shows up, and Preacher's there, and Mel's like, hey. And he's like, where's Jack? He goes, oh, he's still hiking with Bree. And she's like, I just feel like a little bit of a failure. And he goes, that makes 2 of us. She goes, Jack told me about Paige. I'm really sorry. He goes, yeah. He goes, I've been here 7 years. I want to get married. I want to settle down. It just feels like I can't find anybody to do that with. And she's like, well, what are you looking for? He goes, I want what my folks have. And he goes, well, he's like, I want a soulmate. She goes, I don't know. I guess I'm old fashioned. She goes, well, how did they meet? He goes, my dad was a Coast Guard stationed in Charleston. And one day he's on the beach and he sees a woman getting caught in a riptide, swam out, saved her life, and they've been inseparable ever since. And Mel's like, wow. And just as they are having that conversation, Hannah comes from the kitchen with a big casserole dish of mac and cheese. She's like, Preach, the timer went off. What do you want me to do with this? And he's like, Mel, do you want to try some of my mom's special mac and cheese? She's like, yeah. So he puts it right in front of her. And she's like, wow. And so he puts it on a little plate. She's like so excited. He's like, oh, I had really good timing when I came in today. And she takes a bite. And she's like, oh, my God. She's like, is that lobster? He goes, no, it's blue crab. He goes, it's part of my addition to the menu, thinking about adding a few new dishes and kind of like elevated comfort food. And she's like, He goes, I've been feeling a little lost today, so I wanted to cook something that made me feel good. He goes, when I was in Iraq, I was lonely, so I would scrounge up whatever I could find and make one of her recipes. Felt like my mom was there with me, like home. And he goes, it still does. And she kind of like, he's like, excuse me, I'll be right back. And so she's just kind of sitting there. She's doing a lot of like remembering her childhood today.
Well, she's got nothing but time.
I know. So we're back at Hope's, and she's sort of napping a little bit, sitting in a chair in her room. There's a knock at the door. It's Lizzie, and she brings her a glass of water. She's like, how's your head? How you feeling? And she's like, what's that? And she's got this plaque in her lap, and she hands it to Denny, and it says, in honor of Hope McCrae, the first mayor of Virgin River. And Lizzie's like, I didn't know you were the first mayor. She goes, first and only. When I moved here, Virgin River was what's called an unincorporated community. And she says, but when more and more people started turning up, the needs changed. We needed a post office and a general store. And she goes, so I wrote up a charter, and suddenly We needed a mayor. I didn't even run. I was nominated. She goes, elected unanimously. And I've been doing it ever since. I'm like, wow. It's like being mayor of this town. She's like, it's not what I do. It's who I am. The accident took so much from me, but my job was the one part of my identity that TBI couldn't touch. She goes, maybe that's why I care so much about it. Why I won't go down without a fight. So now Lizzie and Denny understand because she's like crying. She's so teary about it. She goes, why are you two looking at me like that? And Denny's like, well, there's your speech. And Lizzie's like, right? He goes, you should say all of that. He goes, well, it sounded pretty good. He goes, why don't you try it one more time? Because I think they're right. She needs to be emotion, you know? She needs to find some emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this is one of my favorite scenes. And when there was a contest, I guess you call it, of Mel and Jack's everyone's favorite kiss. And this was one of the top ones for whatever reason. But I don't know. For some reason, I really, really like this scene. I just think it's really, really cute between the two of them. So Mel is coming out of Jack's bar, and he is coming back from his hike with Bree, and they run into each other. So as she's exiting the patio, coming down the ramp, he's like, hey, you. And she's like, hey. And he grabs her and he kisses her. He just pulls her in. And they do their double kisses, which is something that they seem to do. And she's like, what was that for? And he's like, for being there for my sister. And then he brings her over to the side. And he goes, and they walk over toward the water's edge. He goes, I don't know. Maybe if I hadn't have been so caught up with Charmaine and the twins, and maybe I would have had more time for her. Maybe she would have told me sooner. He goes, no, Bree decided to tell you when the time was right for her. He goes, I know, but, you know, I don't feel like I've really been there for her lately, or anyone. And why? You think because of Charmaine? He goes, yeah. He's like, it kills me. It's like, when is this going to end? She goes, probably not until you forgive her. He goes, oh, you think I should forgive her? She goes, well, until you get some real closure, she's never going to be out of your life or ours. I mean, even if she's not around. He goes, how do you forgive the unforgivable? She goes, you start by taking responsibility for your part. And he goes, whoa, hold on a second. Whose side are you on? And she's so cute because she puts her hands on his shoulders and she gets really close to him and she goes, yours, come on. And he's like, well, it doesn't sound like it. And she holds his face. She goes, always, honey, always. But, she's like, but for 2 years, Charmaine was convinced that you had a future together. He goes, oh, come on. I never once said I was interested in something long term. She goes, no, I know you didn't. But, see, this is where he has to understand what was really going on. She's like, I think because you don't like to let people down. She goes, that part of you let her believe that. So he's like, oh, she goes, I mean, maybe forgiveness is going to help both of you move on. And he's like, you think she deserves it? She goes, maybe not. She's like, but I know that you do. She gives him a kiss. He's like, okay, preacher's made something. She goes, I mean, it's amazing. He goes, do you mind grabbing so we can eat it at Bree's? He goes, sure. I mean, wow, what is it? She goes, oh, it's his newest signature dish. He's like, okay. And they wave goodbye. He's like, see you later. And off they go. So now he's got some thinking to do. So we're back at the clinic, and Cameron goes in and he talks to Doc. Goes into his office, and he's like, you know, he's always tentative with Doc lately, like walking on eggshells. He goes, we need to talk. And Doc's like, okay, talk. And he goes, I understand you're getting used to life without Mel. And I own part of that I played in her resignation. He goes, I am sorry. I truly am. I know, right? You hired me to be a doctor. I know you've known me since I was a boy. But I'm a doctor now, and I'm a damn good one. I was right about Bird, and I'm going to help a whole lot of people in this town. When we're at work, I would appreciate it if you dropped the patronizing tone and talk to me like a man. And Doc kind of looks up at him like, oh, Mr. Cameron's grown a backbone, has he? And he goes, is that it? Cameron's like, that's it. And Doc stands up, comes out from behind his desk, stands in front of Cameron, and he goes, I apologize, Dr. Hayek. And he reaches his hand out and they shake. He goes, and I appreciate your honesty. You're absolutely right. And Cameron looks very relieved. He's like, thank you. He goes, but the fact is, Mel is irreplaceable. So we are going to have to figure out some way to pick up the slack. He goes, yeah. And just as they're doing that, they hear a woman humming. And the both of them are like, what is that? Where is that? And they go to the kitchen. And who do they find? Muriel. She's doing some dishes. They're like, hi. And she's like, hi. He goes, oh, I finished filing those claims. I know you didn't ask, but I digitized the AM charts as well. You've got a fresh pot of coffee on. You were out. So I ran home and I picked up this blend that I bought at Myrtle Farms. And they're like, oh my gosh, yes. Can you smell it? It smells like heaven. And Doc is like so excited. He goes, oh, Muriel. He goes, well, would you have any interest in a part-time employment? And she's like, oh, sure. Now they're both excited because they so need anything. My God.
Because they both hate, Doc. He hates anything. The fact that he actually has a computer in front of him is a miracle.
Right? I think he used it for Googling only. Goodness. So we are now at the park, and Mel and Ava are sitting on the bench that Hope built. Remember, Hope and Muriel built a bench in an area to think about Lily? Yeah. So Ava's there with Chloe. She's got Chloe on her lap, and the two of them are just kind of hanging out. And Mel's like, look, I wanted to apologize for earlier. I didn't mean to overstep. And Ava's like, oh my God, please. I got weird and overreacted. And Mel's like, no, not at all. She's like, I also had fertility issues myself, so this kind of thing, it's sensitive. As Chloe just makes all kinds of little baby noises. She's really cute. She goes, and Mel's like, it's my baggage. And she goes, I didn't mean to insert myself into your decision. And Ava's like, thanks for wanting to help.
It just dawned on me. This is like the 5th different baby for the season because every baby is not the same baby.
Yeah, they keep changing the baby. And it's not like the baby's getting older. I mean, the baby technically is the same age, which is, when different time goes by, they can't use the same baby because they change too much too fast.
Well, not only that, because because of how long it tells them to take us.
That's what I mean. It takes, it's been 6 months or a year, and the baby's like, yeah, that's not a 3-month-old baby anymore. So Ava's like, Mom would have loved all of this. And she looks down at Chloe. And Mel's like, I lost my mom to cancer too. And Ava's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And Mel's like, I miss her most when big things happen in my life. She goes, especially when it comes to being a mom. She goes, you asked earlier if I was planning on having kids. And Ava's like, never in a million years. She goes, but when I walked out of Dr. Kane's office this morning, my stomach was in a knot. She goes, all I could think about was my mom. She goes, I loved her, but we just saw the world so differently. She goes, being a mom was her whole life. And I thought that was kind of small. She goes, but coming back home and seeing this garden, she's like, being with Chloe, she's like, I don't know. She's like, maybe I'm not quite ready to close the door. Not yet. She's like, so I don't know, maybe she still has more things to teach me. She goes, I would do anything to hear what she had to say. Mel's sort of getting sad. She goes, hey, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. She goes, I just want you to know you're not alone in this. She's like, thanks, Mel. She goes, neither are you, because Mel's going through it too. Mel's pregnant and So we are at the community garden, and Hope is there doing her speech that Lizzie and Denny helped her write. And she's like, individually, we play our parts, but together we form a symphony. This garden is a tribute to everything this town stands for, to those who came before and those who will someday plant seeds of their own, and roles that we play to make Virgin River flourish. In closing, some of you are starting to doubt I'm still the right person to lead this town, but to those people I say, don't write me off just yet. Serving you has been the honor of my life, and I have so much more to give. And now, it is my pleasure to officially open the Lily Anderson Community Garden. And she has a big pair of scissors and cuts a yellow ribbon. Everybody's clapping. Crowd's cheering. There's a picture of Lily there. So Lizzie and Denny are talking, and he's like, today was perfect. And Lizzie's like, yeah, it was amazing. He goes, today ended up being our second first date. So Muriel's like, Hope, seriously, it was just incredible. She's like, now, I did speak to the council, and we are going to officially discuss the motion tonight. She goes, but you have my vote, all right? And she gives her a hug, which is really nice. So now we're back at the cabin, and Mel looks like she's putting on a pair of earrings in the mirror. And just as she does that, there's a knock at the door, and it's Charmaine. And she's like, oh, hi. She goes, come in. Charmaine's like, thanks. And Mel is like very tentative. Like, what the heck is this chick doing in my house? Like, haven't you done enough?
Tell me about it.
And Mel's like, Jack is finishing up in the shower. And Charmaine's like, actually, I came to talk with you. And Mel's like, oh, okay. It'd be funny to think like, oh, if he walked in and if the babies were still his, it's like, okay, I'm standing in a room with both of the women I got pregnant in the last 5 months. like just wrap your head around that one. So she says to Mel, she's like, Mel, I am so sorry for everything. It's genuine. Like, she means it. She's finally humbled herself. She's like, what you...
How long did that last?
Right? I know. She goes, Mel, I'm sorry for everything. She's like, what you and Jack have is really special. She's like, and I'm so sorry for the pain that I have caused. And that's when Jack comes out from the bathroom. She goes, and I'm really happy for you both. She goes, the whole town is talking about it. Congratulations. And Mel kind of dawns on her that, oh, yeah, I guess now she knows I'm pregnant, too. And Jack's like, hi, Char. Like, what are you doing here, chick? Like, really? And Mel's like, look, it's water under the bridge. And Charmaine's like, thank you. And Mel's like, I'm going to go finish getting ready, and I'm going to leave you guys to it. And as she walks by Jack, she touches his shoulder. And she's like, so I just came here to say that I won't bother you anymore. And he's like, Char, wait. And she comes back in because she was getting ready to leave, like, say what she's going to say. And he's like, look, I never lied to you about what I wanted when we were together. And then he takes a deep breath, and he's like, but although my words were clear, maybe my actions weren't. And that wasn't fair. And I'm sorry for that. And she's like, I've waited a long time to hear you say that. She's like, thank you, Jack. He goes, so what are you going to do now? She's like, what I should have done a long time ago. I got my job back at the salon, and I'm putting in an application for an apartment. She goes, I found a group of single moms, and he goes, you're going to find the life that you always wanted. She goes, I'm going to make the life that I always wanted. I think they're finally in a good place. I know that's shocking. I can't believe it, but that's where we're at. So now we're at Bree's new place for her dinner together, the double date that she's insisted on having. So everybody's laughing, and Bree's like, well, this was delicious. She goes, but are you ready for the main event? And Jack's like, no way. And Mel like looks at him funny, like, what am I missing? And Bree's like, banana pudding coming right up. Do you want to help me? To Mel. And so Mel and Bree go ahead into the kitchen. They take the dishes and they head into the kitchen. And the boys are talking. Now, things are still a little awkward with them, but they're making it work. They're making the best of it. And it's funny because she doesn't have furniture yet, so she's got like 3 or 4 moving boxes and like paper plates and paper cups. It's like a makeshift table. It's kind of funny. And so the guys are like, the food was good. It's like, yeah, like so awkward. Like, what do you say? Yep, uh-huh. He goes, all right, listen. Jack's like, I want to thank you for being there for Bree through all this. And he goes, you don't got to thank me. He goes, listen, man, I care about her a lot. Jack's like, yeah. He goes, well, clearly she thinks the world of you, despite my warnings. He goes, I'm joking, sort of. He goes, but what about us? Are we ever going to be cool again? And Bree's like, hey, Jack, do you want wafers crumbled or whole? And Jack's like, oh, hold on. Like, I'll do it. And Jack looks at Brady and he's like, that's a good question, Brady. He kind of thinks about it and he's like, I think that's up to you, isn't it? And so Bree's like, come on, sir, we're waiting for you. So they're goofing around in the kitchen. And Brady's phone chimes, and he looks at it. And I guess Jeb is taking over tonight, watching the package. Remember, they're supposed to get a delivery, and Jeb's in charge of it. So Brady is just like, I'll be back. I'm going to wrap things up soon. So here we go. This is not going to end well because he's still hiding what he's doing. So we're back at Hope's house, and she's like, I understand, Muriel. Thanks for letting me know. She says goodbye, and she looks really sad. And she tells Denny, she's like, well, I'm out. And Denny's like, wait, what? She goes, the council voted no confidence, everyone but Muriel. He goes, that doesn't make any sense. You were amazing. What could have happened? He goes, I have no idea. And Doc comes in, and he's like, well, is someone going to tell me, or do I have to guess? Because he's got pizza and food. And so now Mel and Jack are sitting together in the cabin on their little tiny couch, and they're just kind of hanging out with some candles lit and just being cozy. And he's like, thanks for being a good sport at dinner. He goes, well, it's hard to hold a grudge when you're eating mac and cheese. She's like, yeah, that's true. He goes, you know, it takes a big heart to forgive someone that's hurt you. And then the Songbird is playing in the background. And he's like, nice. And she's like, it was my mom's favorite song. He's like, yeah? She goes, yeah. She goes, it's not really a running song, but I keep it on my playlist. And he goes, no, it's really not. She goes, you know, it reminds me of her and it makes me happy. And she's like, it came on this morning and I don't know. It was just different. He's like, different how? She's like, well, it's hard to explain. I wasn't sad exactly. It just felt like something was missing. And so now we go back to another flashback, and it's Mel and Joey listening to Songbird sitting in their attic. And Mel's like, it's a really sad song. And Joey's like, no, it's not. She goes, it's about loving someone even after they're gone. And she's like, it's beautiful. And then they start looking at pictures, and she's like, she said, I reminded you of Chloe. And now it reminds me of Mom. It can do the same thing for you. She goes, I miss her so much, Joey. She's like, me too. And she's like, I want you to remember something. You're not alone in this. And they kind of like hug each other. Sisters. As they listen to the song. Very sweet. And then we're back to reality. And Mel looks at Jack and she's like, will you dance with me?
Oh.
And he's like, I would be honored, as he gives her a kiss. And so they stand up and they're doing like that 8th grade slow dance thing. Because that's the only way to describe it. I mean, they're a little more wrapped around each other than 8th graders, but so he's like,
Black Americans have a name for that.
what?
Just moving back and forth, like swaying like a breeze.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
There's no rhythm. There's no nothing.
Nope. You just go back and forth. That's funny. So they're just swaying back and forth, and he's like, tell me more about her. And she's like, well, we were very close. And she goes, I was like a mini version of her. And she lost a child too. And he's like, oh, babe, I'm so sorry. And she's like, Chloe was just a baby. It was before I was born. He goes, wait, Chloe? And he goes, that's who Chloe Anderson is named for? He goes, yeah. He said, come on, really? And he goes, yeah. You know, during my first pregnancy, all of these memories of my mom kept flooding back. And now it feels different than it did before. She's starting to get sad. And he goes, why do you think that is? And she's like, well, I've been trying to figure it out. Became a nurse because of my mom. Work used to make me feel comfortable. He goes, every day was a reminder that I took her death and turned it into a purpose. And the song is still playing in the background. She goes, and now, I mean, it's only been a few days since I resigned, but it's just, I really miss my mom right now, Jack. And she starts to cry. She goes, I just don't want to lose that connection to her. And he goes, I wish I could have met her. It's like, yeah, me too. He goes, I wish our little girl could have met her. And she starts crying. She goes, yeah, me too. And she's crying, and he's hugging her while they're swaying. So now we're back in the kitchen with Preacher, and he's looking through his cookbook, and there's pictures and recipes and handwritten notes from his mom, and a picture of him when he was a kid. It says, "Dearest John, keep cooking, love, Mom." And there's music playing in the background. And now this is sort of like, normally you don't listen to what's going on the radio, but as he's hanging up this picture, it's, they're talking about different things, and they're like, "Traffic and weather will be up next after this breaking news headline. The Grace Valley fire that broke out earlier today has begun to spread. The governor has granted local officials requests to send additional fire crews from nearby districts with the hope," and they're like, uh-oh, what does that mean? Now, just as Brady is getting back to Emerald Lumber, because remember, Jeb was waiting for a shipment, one of the fentanyl shipments, and he walks in and he's like, "Sorry, it got so late, but I brought Annabelle some dessert." And he turns around to talk to Jeb, and Jeb is on the floor, and there's a bag of fentanyl next to him, and it's on his fingers, and he's laying on the floor.
Oh, jeez.
And he's like, "Jeb, Jeb." And he checks his pulse. You could see he's got the powder on his nose. It's on his fingers. And he's like, "No." And he sees the bag. And fentanyl is it's a couple of granules is really all you need. And he looked like he had a whole heck of a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just putting his head down over Jeb. Like he's so mad and so upset.
And this is the thing. Brady now has more guilt. The man has lived his life in guilt.
Yeah.
And now you have to live with this, because not only does he have to deal with now that Jeb's dead, but Jeb has a wife and a daughter.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole other set of guilt he's going to have to learn to balance.
Well, and the thing is, it was his responsibility to be there that night. And even though Jeb stepped up to help him and Melissa was okay with that, it's kind of like it all falls on him. Because if he had been there, that would not have happened.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that's where we're at. Now Jeb's dead. He OD'd. Brady's going to be blamed for it. Melissa's going to be pissed. Annabelle and the wife lost Jeb. It's a mess. This fentanyl is just, it's ruining so many lives. But there we are.
Yep.
And that's how they end it. Like, Brady couldn't buy a break if he had money to pay for it.
And he's going to have to deal with Bree on top of everything.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's gonna be bad.
That's gonna kill it.
Yep. That's a little tension in their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Well, and that's how we're concluding this episode. We got a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Next one's gonna be just as dicey, people.
Yeah, this is a tough season, and now that we see a fire has broken out. Now, for anyone who isn't familiar, in California, we are very prone during the summer months, spring. It gets really hot. We have a lot of mountains and a lot of open area, and the brush gets dry. And it just takes one little thing to spark a forest fire that could take over. And, we've had several bad fires in the last 10 years. Really bad.
It's wiped out neighborhoods. It's wiped out, it's just...
It's been bad.
And the thing is, what people don't understand is that we don't get a lot of rain.
No. We always joke about that. We always joke about how rain is such a strange thing to us because, and that's, our mountains are green right now. But if it were hot 5 days in a row, they'd all turn brown. And then it just takes one little spark. And the thing is, the sparks could be from people doing using yard equipment. It could be if there happens to be a storm, the power lines spark. It could be somebody flicking a cigarette. It could be anything. And it just takes one little thing, an accident on the side of the road. It could be anything. And that's how people not being careful, people doing fires in the forest to keep warm or whatever, not paying attention. There's just so many things that could happen. And we wind up with a lot of problems. We've been evacuated here because I live right next to a mountain, and a whole row of hills and everything, and we've been evacuated at least 4 or 5 times since I've lived here. So it's sketchy. So this is the storyline, among other parts of the storyline for this season. That forest fires kind of hits home for me because, like I said, I've literally watched our hills burn and been evacuated because of it. It's scary, but yeah, they've got that's the big thing this season is the fire. So it's a big season. It's big for a lot of reasons. It's an action-packed season. There's a lot of I think there's just more technical things happening because of all the things that they have to do, bringing in doing the fire and all the equipment and locations, and so it's a big budget season. They did a really good job with it. It was done very well and very authentic. So I give them props for that. But we've got all that coming in the future episodes. So stay tuned. I guess for this week we will say goodbye. Thanks, Gigi, for chatting away, and we'll be back next week for another fun-filled episode, an action-packed episode of season 5 in Virgin River. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.